The subject for tonight is going to be
women.
Women.
Is that a bad subject?
No, it's a great subject. There's a lot to talk about. Where do we start?
That's up to you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we were talking about relationships earlier, and I was starting to get into the fact of, to me, there's two types of women. There's two types of women that I see, and they're different for every guy, though. That's the thing. It's not the same. In other words, as far as what I've learned in my experience is that there's dating material and there's marriage material. And what would be dating material for me might be different for you, and what I consider marriage material might be different for you than what I consider marriage material. In other words, if you like sports, and you like to spend your weekends watching football games and going to games and drinking beers and hanging out and that kind of a thing, you might like a girl that's into that. And for you, you might say, wow, she's marriage material because she's into that and she's into drinking beers and hanging out. For me, that's not the type of girl that I would want to marry. But, because I'm not going to spend my weekends watching sports all the weekend. So for me, that might be dating material. Like I've dated strippers. Not a lot. I've dated maybe 2 strippers in my life. And,
marriage material.
That would be dating material. Well, my mistake was that when I dated these dancers, I was looking at them with serious intentions. And what I realized was that from that experience, I'll date a dancer, instead of calling them strippers, I'll date a dancer, but I would never take a dancer serious and have a serious relationship with one. I would date her and have fun and have a good time, and if that's, that's fine. But if it ever came to making a commitment, I wouldn't do it again. And I tried it before. So what I did was I tried to put a round peg in a square hole. That to me, that's dating material. It's not marriage material. Again, there are guys that might like that. There are guys who like to swing. They like, they like to have, they don't care if their girl's a stripper. They love it. And they might find that to be the ideal woman for them. For me, it's not. So again, I've through my experiences, I've know what I want, I know what I don't want. And so I'm able to judge somebody by, is she a smoker? I don't want to, I'm not into somebody who's a smoker, okay? To me, that's dating material right off the bat, maybe not even dating material. So a girl who drinks a little too much, borderline alcoholic, which there's a lot of them down here in Miami, okay? That's not going to be marriage material for me. That might be one date, if anything, and then I'll see how much money I got to spend on drinks all night, and I'll be like, no, thank you. I'm just not into that person who's an alcoholic or who's just obsessed with drinking or going out. I'm older, so I've dated younger girls too, in their 20s and 30s, and the ones especially in their 20s, they still want to go out and dance. They want to go out and party and stay out all night. And I'm not about that. Again, that might be perfect for somebody else, and somebody else might say that's marriage material because that's where I'm at, but that's not where I'm at. So for me, I always say you have to know what you want, through trial and error mostly, and then you'll know when you meet a girl, like the one we talked about recently with you, was is she marriage material or dating material? And depending on how much you know about her, you can't make that judgment until you learn and spend some time with the person. Or sometimes you can tell right away. Obviously, if you meet her on a stripper pole, you can make a judgment right there whether you think that could be your future wife or not. But if you meet her in a library or in a Publix or whatever, then But that's what I've narrowed it down to. Again, marriage material, dating material. And what I did in the past, my mistakes were, again, trying to put girls who now I can categorize as dating material, and I tried to have serious relationships with them when they weren't available that way. And it was just like oil and water. It just didn't mix because I'm more of a serious-minded person, and they were too young, immature, jealous. I dealt with a lot of jealous and insecure women in my life, and the other people will say, well, what are you doing? You must be doing something to make them feel jealous. I'm just being myself, and I've had a lot of serious relationships.
That's bad enough, right?
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm pretty much, if I commit to somebody, I commit to them. You know, I don't say it's. I always tell girls like this: if I say to you, it's you and me. Like if I don't say to you, it's you and me. If I don't say that,
It's not.
then it's open. But once I say that, I mean it. It's you and me. Like I've decided that I really feel like you're enough for me, and I feel like you have everything that I would want. Otherwise, I won't say it. Now, I have friends who just lie. Okay, I have friends who cheat on their girlfriends. They cheat on their wives. Some of them you can categorize as compulsive liars, or whatever. But they just lie. You know, girls are so tired of the lying. You know, and I don't want to be a liar. I won't be a liar for a girl. You know, if I'm with a girl and I feel like I want to see other women, I'll break up with the girl. I'll break up with her. Why am I going to stay with her and then be a liar because I'm kind of staying with her? It's kind of almost like giving her the power to make me a liar. You know, it just, to me, that's where I look at it. It's like, I'm not going to be a liar for you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I want to date other women, you know, and you should be happy. You deserve somebody that just wants you too. You know, this is what I want, and you know, maybe we've grown apart, whatever it could be. You know, I just learned to be more honest, and what I realized is I want to be with somebody that accepts me for who I am. That's it. Don't try and change me, you know, and that's what I found women try to do too. They fall in love with you, right? And then you start a relationship together, and then they slowly start to try to change the guy, you know, to change and mold him into something that...
Which means they never really fell in love with you. They probably fell in love with this concept of what you could potentially be, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's like somebody who can't... It's like a contractor who's never built a building, you know, all of a sudden giving him cement and some steel beams and telling him to build a building. How is she going to know how to make me a man? You know what I mean? How is she going to know how to do that? Like, what experience does she have? First of all, I am, and I've done that. I was in a relationship once where, you know, I was in love with the girl and was going back and forth to see if she was in Jersey. I was in New York, and I was going back and forth sometimes twice a day, and you know, it got to the point where I could tell she wasn't happy, and because she wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, and I was doing everything that I thought I knew how to do to make her happy, and was willing to do whatever I could figure out, try, and nothing worked. So the result of that was two people were unhappy. You know, she wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy. And then this is going back in my early 20s. I mean, I'm talking about when I was 21 with this girl, and it just hit me one day. I'm like, listen, there's no reason for us both to not be happy. Okay, you fell in love with me. I was myself. You fell in love with that guy. Over the course of time, I started to change, like I was just talking about. I started to change to become what I thought she wanted because I was trying to make her happy. But when I realized that that wasn't getting anywhere, I said, well, why should we both be miserable? And I realized that I had gotten away from who I was. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go back to being me. I'm going to go back to doing the things I like to do, and at least one of us will be happy. And she can stay miserable if she wants, but I'm going to be happy. And I started to be myself and go back to that guy, because I allowed her to change and try to manipulate me to be something I wasn't. And I went back to being myself. And in the process, I went back to being the guy that she fell in love with. I went back to that guy. Because when a woman feels like when a woman tells you to do things or tries to mold you, and you actually go along with that, they lose respect for you. Too. It's like a weird thing. It's like they want you to do what they want you to do. Okay, they want you to be who they want you to be, but then they wind up creating something that they don't even like. You know, it's like they drew a picture, and then I don't like that picture. You know, now you're that guy that did everything for that girl to try and make her happy, and you twist it, and now she doesn't respect you because you've become a wimp. You know, you've become a mush of a man. You're not the man. You didn't stand up to her. You didn't say no.
So what happens when you stand up?
Well, that's the guy that they respect. Listen, they always want the bad boy. You know, I realize so many things. It's like women go through a stage when they're young where they want the bad boy. You know, so if you get a girl, teens, maybe even early 20s, okay, they want the the guy in the motorcycle. They want the guy, the quarterback on the football team, or just the guy with the reputation. That's the guy they want to be seen with. The hot guy. They want that guy, the rebel guy. And then when that guy fucks them over, okay, which he will and usually does, they get so traumatized by that. Their next relationship is usually the goody guy. They go from the one extreme to the other. And then they get the guy that's conservative, and they get the guy that's really like a gentleman. They go a bookworm, maybe like a nerdy guy. They'll go from the player because they got played and they got hurt. Like, they get devastated from that. First of all, they have to get over that. Then they go with the opposite. And then they find that guy, the nerdy Mr. Nice guy, good guy, who's not going to cheat and play on them, is boring. And now they find they're bored. So they had the one extreme where they got burnt and they got cheated. Then they have the nerdy guy that maybe they wind up cheating on because they're bored. So that's why I realized that I haven't done it any certain way, like on purpose, but I think I'm the guy in the middle. You know what I mean? I think of myself as the guy who can be the rebel, and I can go out and have fun and, have some tequila or just whatever, and I can just be funny, and I can say things that are outrageous to a girl and make her laugh or put her in shock for a minute, but not be obnoxious or say rude things, but just be the guy that kind of keeps a woman on her toes too. Even though I am in love with her, I just feel like I have that part of me that can be the bad boy, okay? But I'm not really the bad boy, And I also am very serious minded. I've been in a lot of committed relationships, I've been engaged several times, been married twice. I like relationships. So I am that nice guy too. But I'm not one or the other. You know what I mean? If a woman starts taking me for granted, I can be that bad boy. I'd be like, see you later. But if she wants the nice guy and can appreciate the nice guy and really, again, appreciate it, that you have a good guy. Not, I have a good guy, he'll be there. It doesn't matter. And then they start to take you for granted. And he'll be there no matter what. And they start to, lose interest or whatever. Because maybe it's boring to them. So I feel like by being the guy in the middle, you're not boring, and you're not too much. You're not playing the person. You're keeping the air of spontaneity in it, because you're not predictable. In other words, I'm predictable in the aspect of that. Yeah, if I commit to you, you can pretty much bet that I'm going to not cheat on you and I'm going to be faithful to you. That's predictable. That should be predictable.
Keeping your word.
Yeah.
Predictable.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm not going to commit to somebody if my intention is to cheat. To me, that doesn't make sense. See, a lot of guys will tell a girl they love her just to get laid. Mm-hmm. They feel like that's what the girl needs to hear, and a lot of times it's true. A girl will feel better about giving it up if the guy says I love you, whether he even means it or not. They just want to hear it. And they're fooling themselves. They're in denial, the women themselves, because they just want to hear it. They're not really seeing the guy for who he truly is, or what his motive is for saying I love you. When I first moved down to Miami, going on 12 years ago, I was coming out of a relationship from New York, and I moved here. Excuse me, it's cough. And and I was really in the mode of, not in the serious mode of a relationship. I was in I'm not available emotionally for a relationship. Okay, I moved to South Beach. There's girls all over the place. And I would meet a girl and I would say, listen, I'm not available emotionally for anything serious, but if you want to hang out, date, go to the movies, go for dinner, hang out, I'm all for that, but I'm not looking for a serious relationship. I'm just telling you that right from the beginning. And I just threw it out there. I was being honest. And I had never taken that approach.
Probably makes them want you more, because then they think they can change you.
Well, yeah, become a challenge. Yeah, no, you're right. They think you're a challenge. And now it becomes a challenge to them. Oh, I'll
be the one that...
I'll be the... Oh, yeah, that was definitely true. But again, I wasn't saying it... That's really where I was really at. I was really in that place of you know what I mean? Keep arm's length. You know what I mean? Hang out, have a good time. But I'm not. I moved from New York to here. It's about making a living and finding my way down in a new state. didn't really know anybody down here, and I was more focused on where I was going professionally than a relationship. To me, I was like, relationships are a waste of time. I wasted years, and I wound up single again. 3 years, and you're like, what happened? How did I wind up single again?
You invest so much in something.
Yeah, the blood, sweat, and tears in relationships, and like, you know what? I was just like, no, this is about me starting a new life, and I would tell girls that, and they would actually like the honesty. They actually welcomed it and embraced that I was being honest. They were like, oh, really? Oh, that's so good. Because again, they were so used to meeting guys, especially down in my area. I love you. I want to get married. I want to have kids just to get laid. And the guy winds up cheating on them, and the guy leaves or doesn't call them again after they get laid or whatever. And the girl realizes the guy was full of shit. So the girls actually get tired of hearing I love you. Because they're like, a guy says I love you, and they're like, yeah, right.
You think a lot of guys tell girls that? Most of
them?
them?
I think a lot of guys use that.
I mean, that wouldn't be at the first meet or the first couple of dates, would it be? Or would it be like after they've been dating a little while?
Well, it depends. If the girl is giving it up right away, then he doesn't even have to go there. But if the girl is kind of like making him wait, he might pull it out of his bag of tricks to try and say, I'm really looking to settle down. And, then right away she thinks she caught a serious guy. He's good looking, maybe he's got a good job, he makes some money. Then right away she hears those words, and right away, bing, bing, bing. Oh, he wants to have a serious relationship, The guy's down in Miami Beach, okay, looking for a wife? Really? You think so? You know what I mean? Like, the women, but again, women just want to hear, they hear what they want to hear, and they'll interpret it the way they want to interpret it. Again, if a girl, there's just so many things to talk about with women. It's like, I had my friend tell me, this happened to me too, like, you meet a girl, you really like the girl, really like the girl, like, you would be serious with her like that, you already know it. And the girl, doesn't want to have sex, and she wants to wait, and her reason is because she really likes you. I really like you, that's why I don't want to have sex. But then she'll go out on the weekend with her friends, have a few drinks, and sleep with some fucking guy she just met, But yet with you, because she likes you, she won't sleep with you. But yet she'll go sleep with a guy she just met. So it's like, okay, so you won't sleep with me because you like me, but you'll go sleep with a strange guy on the weekend that you just met because it doesn't mean anything?
So is that just an excuse, or is there honesty behind that? Is there
women? It's just women.
There's no answer to that. It's just like an enigma.
You have experience with women. You'll know that there's no rhyme or reason to what they do. It just doesn't. to a guy that really likes a girl, and it hurts because you really dig this girl, and yet she's probably a booty call, and she'll tell you, "Oh, I see my ex-boyfriend, and we get together and have sex, but I don't want to sleep with you because I really like you." Does that make any sense at all? That you would sleep with somebody who's just using you for sex? But you won't sleep with a guy who really, really digs you and really loves you. You won't because you like him. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but I just find that really ironic. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, there's so many things to talk about with women. If you want to focus on one area, what area would that be?
I don't know. Bouncing around is kind of fun, but it's like you got me like. When you say certain stuff, it's like I'm like questions are running through my mind, but like you said, there's so much to say that by the time like I got a question, it's like you're already on somewhere else.
Oh, we go backtrack a little bit.
Well, then I think maybe the questions aren't that important, but I don't know. I think that like when you were talking about the women trying to mold or reshape or create a man and everything, first thing that came in my head was that they're not really trying to turn you into a man. They're trying to be the man, I think, in a way. A lot of times the women have this complex. It's the whole like feminist movement where it's like equal rights. Like I was hearing about like they were doing some, I don't know what it is, like National Go Topless Day or something, and the argument behind it, or the excuse behind it for the women is like, we're women, we're equal, we should be able to be, bare chested and don't treat us like objects. And, at those events, it's full of guys with cameras and video cameras taking pictures of naked girls. And they're like, and their whole argument is, don't treat us like objects, we're equal, we should have the right to do this. And it's funny because it's like, what are they saying? Because it's like all the guys there that are partaking and enjoying it, and they're all completely, disrespect him.
Well, I think guys wind up doing the women wind up getting the opposite result of what they're trying to achieve. I think they, like you said, they have guys ogling them, laughing at them, going, "Oh yeah, you're equal, wow, right, nice set of."
Exactly. Even if they're like, "Show us your boobs" or something like that,
Well, you got to realize the conditioning of the men that in this case were grown men at this, let's say, this particular event. They're grown men, but you got to realize how they grew up. They grew up in America, which is not like growing up in Sweden or more of these liberal countries where women walk around on the beaches, topless all the time, and to the children, the little boys grow up to be men. It doesn't faze them. So it's no big deal in these other countries, okay? But in here, you grow up where everything's been, hide it. Sex is, everybody's got hang-ups about sex. So a little boy growing up in America, as he becomes into teenage, maybe he sees a magazine, a naked girl, and it's like, it becomes... So they grew up like that. They grew up with that mentality. So now it's 20 years later, and girls are walking around nude, and they want to be taken seriously. We got to realize guys haven't been brought up that way. Guys have been brought up with, oh wow, you mean her breast is showing? Wow, I got to see that. Whereas in another country, we're like, so what's the big deal? It'd be like no big deal. Like it wouldn't make a difference. So there's a lot of conditioning that goes involved to those guys that are there laughing and having fun. If a woman understood that's how a guy grew up, she would probably take a different approach than to walk around with her breasts thinking that it's going to make a change like that in a man who's been conditioned for 30 years that if you get to see a breast, like, look at it, you want to see it because she's going to put it away and you're not going to see it again. It doesn't even matter if you're married, if you got a hot wife. It's just become a thing. Guys are visual. Guys are visual by nature sexually. They're visual, where women are more, it's more emotional. It's more mental for women, sex. Where guys is visual, they see breasts and they get, an erection. They see a girl in a bikini who's hot, or maybe not even hot, it doesn't matter. They see skin. And that's only because of the way they were brought up and the way they grew up with sex. That sex was, something, you hid the magazine under your bed, or you watched porno when nobody was home and you just did it. And it's that whole thing that now you bring it into the public where girls are walking around naked, thinking that they want to get taken seriously, but they're trying to reach guys who are they're not wired. They're already wired. They're already wired that, like now you talk to a woman who's in a professional atmosphere, maybe she's an attorney or a doctor, and she's telling you, your medical report, the blood test came in, and you're staring at her breasts, because that's just what you do, you're not even listening to the results, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just the way that we were conditioned. So to have a big rally with women's breasts and saying, we want to be able to do this too, well, don't talk to the men about it, because men ain't going to give you a hard time about it, They're gonna tell you go to the lawmakers in Congress and tell them to pass a law that it's not illegal for you to walk around without a shirt, and you can walk around without a shirt. I don't know. There's no law against it that I know of. I guess maybe some places there might be, or cause a riot, or cause accidents. Again, that wouldn't cause accidents in other countries. In here, a woman walking down the street with no top would cause accidents and would cause a scene, because again, there's a woman with no top on. It's like a big...
They really just do that in other countries?
The Scandinavian countries and stuff like that, yeah. They're very free sexually and with their bodies. It's not a taboo or anything bad to walk around like that. It's just not. That's the best way, because it desensitizes the young boys to thinking that this is, a treat of some kind to see it. It's not a big deal. It's like nothing, But women trying to be liberated like that they want to walk around topless. I mean, why?
I don't even buy the idea that they're really doing that to be liberated. I think they might just be exhibitionists.
Doing it for attention.
Just
they're doing it for attention. Listen, women do a lot of things for attention that they'll deny. I'm not wearing a short skirt. I'm just, because I like to wear a short skirt.
Well, I would say even the fact that it's like, okay, like you were saying, let's say a girl is walking down the street in her bra and her underwear like that. It would probably turn some heads. It could cause an accident. It would, like you said,
probably,
it would be.
You'd have other women yelling at her that their child is going to see that, and please,
Okay, but if you go to the beach, basically it's the same thing as everybody in their bra and underwear, their G-strings,
call it a bathing suit,
and it's the same thing. But it's like
it's appropriate on the beach.
Exactly,
it's not
this location, it's like once you walk on the sand or close to it, it's acceptable. The rules just changed.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Again, I grew up in the same society I'm talking about, so it's like if I was at that rally and all the women were topless, I'd be looking too, like, oh, she's hot, she's nice, because I get the point of what they're trying to do, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I would still be looking like, okay. It's like, okay, I'm going to look at you and pretend that I don't see your breasts sticking in my face, and her breasts, and her breasts, and her breasts, and I'm surrounded by girls I'm surrounded by 1,000 girls that are topless, and I'm going to sit here and act like Superman that I don't see any of that, and it doesn't faze me, The bottom line is, it would be exciting, in a way to be around that, but I still understand what they're trying to do. Maybe I don't agree with the way they're trying to do it, but they can do whatever they want. Supposedly it's a free country, so... But again, you always have to know who you're dealing with. You're trying to get a message to somebody. You understand. Are they immature? Are they not ready to hear what you have to say? What does their life experience tell them as far as this certain thing goes? That, there's just so many things that tie into any situation. For an individual, it would be different experience for you than it would be for me. So that's, Yeah, women do things for attention, getting back to that part. They could be doing, some of them doing it because they really believe in women's lib. You want to believe in women's lib, then you know what? I'll stay home, okay, and take care of the house, go work and make a living and bring home the money, and, I'll have dinner ready when you get home. That's fine. I don't mind that. Look at John Lennon. John Lennon became Mr. Mom, He did, and he loved it. And he was raising his son, and he was there every day, and he had money in the bank. He didn't need to go out to work. But Yoko took care of all the business with John Lennon's estate, and even when he was alive, because he chose to be a stay-at-home dad, and that's fine. I don't put people in boxes like that myself, I don't. So. What was your next thing? Anything else hit you as far as questions?
Well, when you were talking about there's marriage material and dating material, and if you know right off the bat that this is dating material, falls into that category, which means this is not marriage material, and you kind of know that right off the bat, so you kind of know the end is.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere serious.
So what would be the benefit in
dating
that person, or getting involved, or even risking your emotions or their emotions, or the fact that you already know this person ain't my type for how I envision like a wife?
Well, it could be if you're single and you're in the dating scene, then everybody's dating material at that point. They kind of have to evolve from dating material to marriage material as you get to know them. You know, so I think initially everyone is dating material. In first impression, first date, second date, every girl is going to be dating material because that's what you are. You don't hardly know them enough to make that judgment yet. But as you get to know them, you can start to say, okay, this is something I'm looking for, this is something I'm not looking for. And yeah, you date them to get to know, do they stay in the dating category? So you said, what is the purpose to dating them? Well, the purpose to continue dating them is as you start to see these things. Now, some people may make a judgment right away and not have a second date. They may see something on the first date.
Like you gave an example, like a girl that likes to watch sports or something like that all day, which I don't really know many that do, but if the ones that I've met that do like sports or can tolerate it, it's usually seems like it's because they grew up with like their dad or their brothers watching it, and so they kind of like they.
Right. Well, I'm just using that as an example.
But let's say right off the bat, this person watches sports. She's an alcoholic. She's a smoker. She's all these things that like are not my cup of tea. So
yeah, probably.
But she's real hot too. So.
Well, again, then it would go. You go into the phase of being honest about it and going, you want to, hang out, go to movies, and they can kind of tell by your actions, and maybe you're not for them either. And that doesn't mean that they're into you either. They might look at you the same way and go, he's a cool guy, but I can see this is not going anywhere. You always got to remember that their point of view, just because you're into somebody, it doesn't mean they're into you. Mm-hmm. You can't make that assumption or presumption that every girl wants to marry you. There are girls that just want to have a good time too, and they're not in a stage of their life where they're looking for a serious relationship. So instead of looking for Mr. Right, they're looking for Mr. Right now. And same with women, sometimes you're not looking for Mrs. Right, I'm looking for Mrs. Right now. So women have needs like men do, and that's the one thing you got to know. Women like sex. They want to have sex. They just want to feel okay when they do it. Again, if the guy says, I love you, he doesn't really mean it, the girl has needs. Okay, her hormones are raging, she's horny, okay? Let's call it what it is. Girls get horny too. They just want to feel good about what they do when they do it.
They want to justify it, not feel guilt about it.
Right, yeah, for whatever way they were brought up about it. You know what I mean? So that's why they meet a guy, he's halfway decent, he's a nice guy, he seems to be okay. Okay, maybe they'll make, but you don't know. Again, a prudish girl will sleep with a guy on the first night, and then ordinarily she's very serious and doesn't give it up right away. So you never know what a woman's going to do. You just don't know. I mean, I had relationships, some of my longest relationships were with women that I slept with the first night. Where women have this other thing, like, again, if they like somebody, in their minds they feel like, well, I don't want to sleep with him right away because I like him, and if I sleep with him right away, he may not call me anymore because he already got what he wanted, and blah, 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 And my experience was that, again, I had a couple of long-term relationships with women that I did sleep with the first night. So that ruins their whole theory that they need to not, again, are they taking a risk? Do they know that it's going to be a long-term relationship if they decide to sleep with you the first night? They don't know. You don't know either. But then again, they will make a decision to sleep with somebody after 5 dates or 2 months, and then that guy winds up leaving them anyway. So there is no right formula to wait, not to wait. You just go with your heart, and also you have to use your head and your heart, and you kind of got to not be in denial about, if you're a woman, if you want to really know about men, then you have to know that you're taking a chance either way, whether you sleep with him the first night or you don't. You may not sleep with him, and he may not date you because you didn't sleep with him. He may not call you again because you gave him too much of a hard time. And meanwhile, he was a nice guy, but he really liked you. But you just waited too long. You held that card too long. He was just like, forget it. Like, I like her, but like, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, well, what am I waiting for? I've waited months in relationships, and also those turned into long-term relationships too. So again, it doesn't work either way for me. If a girl doesn't want to sleep with me and I really dig her, I'll keep calling her because I know eventually we're going to sleep together. So I don't make well, if you keep dating somebody, obviously you're going to sleep with them eventually. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the natural way it's going to go. So I never put a time limit on it. If it happens right away, it's great. But If it takes a couple of months, that's okay. I like playing and foreplaying and just teasing and again, I can tell by the time we're spending together, okay, that we really like each other and that I really dig her. So I'm willing to wait, and I want her to be comfortable. You know what I mean? But I know it's going to happen. Right? I know we're into each other. We really like each other. When she's ready, that's fine. But it'll happen. What's the rush? There's no rush. And when you have that attitude, that kind of helps too. First of all, lets the woman know that you really do care about her, unless you're being a complete phony, and pretending,
But you're talking about when you're dating, as far as like officially, like, oh, I want to take you on a date, let's go to dinner, blah, blah, blah. You buy her food, what consists of, what classifies something as dating, rather than like, there's people that, there's
like
girls
that
that
you're seeing each other exclusively?
Well, no. Well, dating, I guess, doesn't necessarily mean exclusive, right? Because, I know girls that'll be hanging out with this guy one night, hanging out with that guy one night, and talking to this guy on the phone the other night, and we're all just friends. These are just my friends. I mean, they're all in the friend zone, but are they really in the friend zone, or is
they have no way to really know what she's really up to, what she's doing.
like why are you talking to me? Why are you giving me the time of day? As far as, it's kind of...
again, women have the upper hand, really.
Because everybody wants them.
Yeah, because
they have all their options.
They have the P power. They have the P power, and if a woman knows how to use it the right way without making a man feel castrated or like a woman. The women have, the P power, and again, that's what the guy wants. And again, they can play the field. Like I said, it's easier for a woman. I mean, a woman could go out and meet 10 guys and have sex with 10 of them right now. Tomorrow, if she's halfway decent looking and goes down, just walk by a construction site. A guy on the other hand would have a hard time getting one girl. Because just women, that's just the way it is. Women have the upper hand, and that's fine. That's why I always feel like if a woman chooses to give up that special thing, to me, I always feel like it's a privilege and like it's an honor that of all the people she could be giving that to, that she's decided to share that with me. And and I think that's a special thing. I don't take it for granted. Now there are some women who share with everybody. And you have to be well, if she didn't give it to me, she would have gave it to Joe Blow. Then it's not special. I'm not going to feel special. But to me, it's part of, I feel special if a woman is willing to share that intimacy with me, with her body. Then that's a gift. That's something like that's sacred that she's willing to share to me. So like, wow, yeah, does it make me feel special and honored? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Whereas a guy will go screw any damn thing they don't want to screw. I mean, girls are, and I think girls should be more picky. They can be, because they can have anybody they want most of the time. So,
they know that.
Some of them do, yeah. And let me say, some of the ugliest girls come in the most pretty packages. So you can't always judge a book by its cover just because the girl's hot. I've dated a lot of good-looking women, and not with them anymore. What happened? Well, it wasn't just about their looks. There's a lot more than the way they look. You might stay a little longer, like you mentioned something about what if the girl is hot. Yeah, that might cause you to put up with a little more than ordinarily you would. It's like my friend Steve. He there's a show, How I Met Your Mother, and in one of the episodes they had a graph, and it was hotness graph, hotness and crazy. Okay, so if she was this hot on the scale and she was less crazy, like if she's a 3 on the crazy scale and an 8 on the hot scale, okay, you'll tolerate her. If she's an 10 on the hot scale and she's a 7 crazy, okay, you'll still put up with her. But if the craziness exceeds the hotness, which can happen over the course of time. See, in the beginning, she's a 10. She's a little crazy. She's a little crazy. But as you start to get to know her, she's still hot looking, but the crazy starts to increase, and all of a sudden you find out this girl is nuts. And she's hot, but she's nuts. It becomes that old saying that one man's garbage is another man's treasure. I've broken up with girls and I'd be like, you know what? I pray every day you meet somebody so you'll leave me the hell alone. Whereas when I first started dating with them, I thought they were the greatest thing on the earth. I had the most beautiful, I had the hottest girl. Then it winds up being I had the craziest girl, and you know what? You can have her. Take her. And good luck. That's what, and I've had that happen a few times, where it just switches. You go from hot, and I got him so happy, then if the crazy starts to creep into the relationship, you just realize that, wait a minute, it ain't all about the looks anymore because I'm losing my mind now. You know what I mean? I can't deal with it. And I put up with a lot because of the hotness. Like I said, you'll put up with a little extra because of the hotness. But that gets old quick. And like a girl who's jealous, insecure, and crazy, could make the prettiest girl real ugly real fast. You know what I mean? And another guy will come along and look at her and go, wow, she's gorgeous. I go, man, you have no idea what you're about to get into. Because, she looks hot, and she'll always get the bait. The bait will always get the big fish. But how long will that fish stay on the hook once he starts to see how crazy you really are? So, you have that part of it too. But as far as dating, you're going to date somebody in the beginning because that's all it is. And then eventually you're going to say, this ain't going to go anywhere. I'll just date her, because it's okay for now, but it's not going anywhere. Whereas somebody else might just end it, like you say. If somebody's really looking for a serious relationship, they might just be like, this ain't going nowhere. Let's not waste each other's time. Let's just, move on and not call anymore or whatever.
So sometimes it seems like people just kind of want companionship. Maybe they're lonely or bored or they don't have anything going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how would it be like let's say you meet someone. Because you kind of know, right off the bat, if you're talking to somebody and they kind of shun you or they don't want anything to do with you or they avoid you or whatever, they clearly make it, not interested in this person at all. But then other people are sometimes real open and friendly with almost anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They'll talk to anybody. So let's say you meet someone, you're talking to them, you kind of, you're getting along, laughing, smiling, you might even hug or something like that, but it's just been you just met that person and they're kind of seem to be that friendly with everybody. So is there a point, let's say you do like them or find them attractive, is there a point where you just come out and say it, I'm interested in you, I want to date you or something like that, or you just do the friend thing and see what happens?
No, I would be more I would be like, what are you doing this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
And try to, because that's always going to be the opening, or you're going to get the answer. Again, you got to be prepared for the rejection before you ask the question, and just know that the possibility is that, hey, I got nothing to lose if I don't ask. I'll never know.
Well, some send mixed signals. They might say, they might be like, well, I'm not, I'm doing this weekend.
I'll meet you, but it's just if you want to just go grab it. Like in other words, if they already set the boundary. You know what I mean?
Or I'm at, I'm going out to eat at such and such place.
Meet me there.
Well, you want to meet me there, but they're there with friends or somebody else, and it's like, why are you meeting them there? Are we trying to talk and hang out, or am I just wasting my time? Or
then if you want to have a more direct answer, then I would make it if you're going to be with your friends, then, just stay with your friends. I'm thinking more something like just you and me going to dinner or something like that if you're interested in that. That's what I'm looking for, if you're interested in something like that. Now she may be, again, you never know when a woman is just looking for your reaction. She wants to see how you're going to react to that. Are you going to be persistent? A lot of women like persistence too. That's why you don't know. She could really not be interested, and you could be persistent, thinking that that's what she wants you to be, and then totally freak her out, Or you can be persistent, and she gets to like it. You know what I mean? Because she's just playing anyway with you. She likes you, but she's playing hard to get. So you don't know. You just don't ever know. I don't think you don't ever really know until you really start to ask the right things. You know, just ask the right questions. And if you get a little bit turned off, like if she turns you down or turns you off, then, you know, you need to maybe just, you know, kind of say okay and move on to her girlfriend. You know, and then see how she reacts. You know what I mean? Sometimes they want to chase too. Sometimes they don't want to be chased. You know what I mean? Like you go after a girl and right away she's so used to guys hitting on her. I mean, you gotta realize girls are so used to guys all the time hitting on them, all the time. They get tired of it after a while. You know, you gotta do something different, you know. And the best thing to do is pay more attention to her girlfriend than you do to her. You know, the one that you like, her girlfriend is there, but you're not really into the girlfriend, but be nice to the girlfriend, talk, have conversations with the girlfriend. Show your personality to the one you like by conversing with with her friend. And a good way to get to a girl is to get to her friend. If you could get the girl's best friend to like you, then you have a better chance. As weird as that might sound.
It's pretty psychological there.
Well, it's true though, because if the friend likes you, then afterwards they're going to go home and talk, and the friend is going to talk about you to the girl you like. Oh, he was a really nice guy, and he was this, oh, was he? Really? I didn't notice, because she was so busy looking around at all the other guys in the room,
Really?
that she didn't realize that, you know, that you were a nice guy, and that her girlfriend likes you, and if her girlfriend likes you, and then of course she's going to, well, why didn't you talk to her? She's going to wonder, why were you talking, even though she was kind of blowing you off anyway, instead of persisting, just move quick. She see her, she's looking around, oh, talk to her friend, how are you?
So there's a little, let's say, okay, to a degree they want the attention, but to a degree too much attention is a bad thing.
You gotta play hard to get too. You know what I mean? You gotta be aloof, you know, to a sense too. Like, yeah, I'm interested, but it ain't gonna, you know, if you don't want to be with me, like it ain't the end of my life. You know what I mean? Like I like you, but hello, like, you know, you ain't all that, okay? Like you're hot and you're pretty and everything like that, but there's plenty of fish in the sea. Like I'm letting you know I like you. If you looking around and you want to better deal me or you want to look for something, that's fine. No sweat. You know, it ain't the end of the world. I'm not gonna die because you don't want to dance with me. Like, oh, really? Get a hold of yourself, babe. Okay, no problem. I'm sure you'll find another guy to dance with, and you just talk to a friend. You know, or just move on and walk away, or whatever. Just
is this something you would say with non-verbal communication? Is it something you flat out just verbalize to them?
Well, again, I like to say things to kind of, you know,
put everything kind of like out there as far as honesty or your intentions.
Yeah, but I like to joke around too. So who knows? I don't have any idea what I might say. It just depends. But I'll just say something about like being honest about it. But like, okay, okay, no problem. I get the hint. No sweat. There's plenty of fish in the sea. That's right. I see some over there. I'll talk to you later and walk away. You know, and just be like, well. I mean, some guys use the approach of actually insulting the woman. You know, say something like, one thing you can say to a woman, you go up to a woman and you know, you see this hot woman. I did this once in a club, and I told my friend that I thought it would be funny to do, and we were in a bar in South Beach, and there was this pretty blonde girl just standing like on the side of us, you know. And me and him are sitting at the bar, and he's like, yeah, do it to her, say it to her, you know. And I'm like, I really was like, I have to step out of that too, because I'm not that, you know what I mean? I have to just do it. Like if I start thinking about it, I won't do it. So I'm like, I don't really want to do it. I mean, I think about it, and I think it's funny to do, but to really actually do it was a whole nother thing. But to say it,
build up the nerve.
Yeah. Because I thought it was great when I thought of it, you know. Now my friend is telling me, yeah, do it to her, and I'm like, okay, and she was really dressed up, you know. I mean, she was, you know, she took a lot of time before she left the house, you know. And so I got up the nerve and I says, excuse me, I says, can I ask you a question? And this is just the way I said I was going to do it. Can I ask you a question? Mind if I ask you? She goes, no, not at all. She goes, I said, did you get a good look in the mirror before you left the house tonight? And she was like, well, what do you mean? You know, right away she thought something was wrong. Okay, but I got her attention, you know, and she's like, you know, why? You know, what did I do wrong? Like, was something ripped? And, you know, she didn't know what I was talking about. But it was meant in being like an insulting way. Like, did you get a good look in the mirror before you left the house? You know what I mean? Like, do you understand that, you know? And I says, because you look really beautiful, you know? And she's like, she didn't know what to say. She was just totally like, and I wasn't interested in talking to her anymore after that or anything like that. It was, you know, but the opening was there. I mean, I created it by catching her off guard by saying something like that. You know what I mean? Now, there are guys, I've seen some of these dating shows where the guys say the similar things. You say something to a girl to bring her down, you know what I mean? But then you bring her up. So that's where I thought of the line is like, did you get a good look in the mirror tonight before you walked out of the house? Again, knowing that she spent probably 2 hours in front of the mirror, okay, she's coming out thinking she's perfect. And then somebody's like, did you get a good look at yourself before you walked out the door? Like, you know, like something wrong, you know? So that got her attention. And she was beautiful. She was a beautiful girl and everything. And so I caught her. I got her to her insecurity. So she's standing there like a model. They're still insecure. You have to know that too, you know. The prettiest girls that grew up to be pretty, a lot of them were ugly ducklings when they were young. And you also have to know that they're walking around. You're like, oh, she's a snob. She's not a snob. She's just insecure. You know, she doesn't see herself for the beauty that she is. She still thinks she's that ugly duckling that she wasn't.
That's a weird thing because they come. So some of them will come off real confident and arrogant and prideful, but on the flip side, the same person can be really insecure and self-conscious, and it's really mixed signals. Yeah, you know, on one hand, kind of coming off like
like they're all that, and they're this big prize, but it's really they're insecure too. That's why girls love compliments. You know, if you give a girl compliments, you know, they love you all day long.
Compliments, but that's different than hitting on them.
Yeah,
because you said they get sick of getting hit on.
Yeah, you could just give a girl a compliment and walk away. You know, guys do that. They'll do that to my girlfriend. You know, with me there. You know, because they can't help it. They just have to say something. And she loves it. You know, no, I don't care. But that's okay. You want to go out with like a lot of girls get jealous. They go out with a good-looking guy, and they can't handle it because all the girls are looking at their boyfriend. If you can handle it, you need to go out with an ugly guy. Don't date a hot guy if you're too jealous. The same with a guy. A guy will have a hot girlfriend, and then he wants to fight with everybody. Because, what are you looking at? Why are you looking at my girl? Why are you looking at my girl? You're dating a hot girl. Hello? Guys are going to look at her. If you can't handle it, date an ugly girl. Because that comes with the territory. You know, it comes with the territory. I remember like being down South Beach and seeing beautiful, a lot of girls there, a lot of the models, they walk up and down the street there, like a road. And you'll see some of them with guys that are very plain, ordinary, not even hot guys. And one time I asked one, I says, what's the deal with that? And she was like, I've dated the players, I dated the good-looking guys, and I just want a regular guy. I don't want a guy that all the girls want. Because again, it's all these girls hitting on the boyfriend. It's the fact of how much can the boyfriend take before he gives in to temptation too. You know, when you got a hot guy and girls are constantly hitting on your boyfriend, you know, the girl gets insecure about eventually he's going to cheat. Huh?
What guy is constantly getting hit on?
There are hot guys around, believe me. They're down in South Beach, there's hot guys all over. They got money, they're walking around, they got nice cars, you know, and then if they're with a hot girl, you know, the girls find them even more attractive because they're already with a hot girl, you know. So the girls will date, they'll it's like going from the rebel guy to the conservative guy. The girls do that. It's the same thing with these girls, they're models. They get the hot guy. But the hot guy f***s them over too, eventually. So they wind up going to the other extreme, which is the regular guy. Now maybe they'll get bored of that guy at some point, I don't know. But they'll go to the other extreme. They'll go get a regular guy that they don't got to worry about. You know what I mean? He's a nice guy, treats me good, and they don't need that Don Juan guy anymore. They did that already. They already see that that's just headaches. You know what I mean? And they just, and, you know, it comes with experience and growing up. You know, I think.
one of my friends was telling me the other day. Forget how the conversation went, but basically I was saying, it's hard to sometimes a girl gives mixed signals. It's hard to figure out what they want, and his response was simply just to laugh and say they don't even know what they want. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought that was interesting because it kind of summarizes the whole topic. It's just
it's almost like you say, well, she doesn't know she wants you yet. She doesn't know she wants you yet. Give her time. That's what it is. That's why when you back off, they have time to think. But when you're always coming after them, it's like the other day we were talking about the dance that couples do. You go after you pursue, and they back away, and then when you stop pursuing, they start coming to you. Where are you? And then you start like, oh no, I'm not chasing you no more. And then they start coming after you. And then you start going, oh, okay. Then you say, okay, all right, I'll come. And then they start backing up again. And you play this dance, and it's the dance. It goes back and forth. So you try not to get caught up in the dance. It's why, before you pursue till you back them up against the wall, once you start pursuing, you should meet in the middle. Usually one person starts to back up. Whether it's the girl or the guy. If you sense the girl starting to back up, then you need to back off. Don't keep going until you push her into the corner and go all the way. Because then eventually you're going to see you just pushed her, and the more you pushed, the more she backed up. Right? The more she backed up. So the sooner you start to recognize she's backing up, the sooner you recognize that on her part, that, standoffishness, that's when you got to back up right away. Don't bring it all the way back to here. Just back up and then give a little bit and back, and you start to go back and forth, and she'll start to give you a little. It's like she calls, you don't call her, then all of a sudden she calls you. You got to be nonchalant about it. No matter how much you may want to call, you just have to learn to just control yourself and don't be so what's the word? It's just sometimes it's good to be spontaneous and to just feel like what you feel. But when you feel a girl is a little bit doesn't know what she wants, then you just need to, back up. Just need to back up. There's no reason to chase anybody like that. You know what I mean? Especially, don't chase crazy. I chased crazy. Oh, I did. I chased crazy a few times in my life. But the thing is, you got to recognize it's crazy. Like, I saw it was crazy, but I always felt like love could fix it. Love could cure it. Love could conquer this craziness. And whatever issues that there were, that we could together, we could fix the issues. And we could, and love will conquer everything. And it just didn't work. How much love I had and patience and time that I put in and understanding and all of this craziness I put up with, at the end of the day, it didn't work.
I think his example that he gave me when he said they don't know what they want, he was just, he's got plenty of examples, but the one that he explained was how, I guess it was an ex that he had been with in another state or something, or somebody, was calling him up and saying, oh, I miss you, I like you, I want to, and they literally came down from some other location to be here and meet up with him or whatever. Maybe they just had a breakup, or maybe whatever, they're at the stage in their life where they're lonely, and I don't know. But whatever the case was, she expressed an interest in him and came down to see him and make plans with him. And then I don't know what happened between the two of them, but he basically said, the next day she was sleeping with some random guy, that was around town that she had just met or something like that. So it's kind of like maybe what you were saying, how, I like you, so let's take it slow, but like I just met this guy.
Right.
I don't know.
I want to be that guy.
it was something like that, but anyway, that's where his example was coming from.
Well, it's, again, you don't know. Life is weird, and you never know what the right thing to do or say is. You just have to try to be yourself, have fun, don't take things so seriously, don't chase crazy, okay? Learn to recognize crazy right away, too. And the key, again, is that I really believe that you should only date girls that, well, not date, but I'll just put it this way. I've had the most success successful relationships, the longest term relationships, with women who've had good relationships with their fathers. That's just my experience. The ones who didn't, they lasted maybe a lot longer than they should have, only because of my characteristic of perseverance, and and wanting something so badly that exactly. But at the end it didn't work anyway. But I found that the most successful relationships I had were with women who did have good relationships with the father. And successful, I mean, for the long run, it wasn't fighting constantly. Like, it wasn't 2 years of fighting. It was 6 years of pretty much getting along pretty well for the most part, having little things here and there that are probably normal, and just eventually just growing apart, and but not because there were men or jealous issues or crazy insecurity issues. It was just because of just some things didn't work out. But the ones who didn't have good relationships with their father, okay, those are the ones that I had the most trouble with, because they had abandonment issues, they had insecurity and trust issues big time, let alone jealousy. I think it's just a byproduct of all the rest of it. But yeah, when they didn't have good relationships with their father, it wasn't pretty. It was very difficult and very draining.
Yeah, I think you said run for the hills or something.
Yeah, I mean, again, you want to date somebody like that? You can date her, but I would bet you in the long run it's not going to work out. I mean, I'd love to see everybody else's statistics on that one. How the ratio of women who had good relationships with their dads and those who did not, their successful relationships and stuff like that.
Well, the father is the first man figure in their life, and so
daddy's a little girl, and that's what it should be. Like, I had a good relationship with my mom, and I think that's why I respect women. And for the most part, I put up with a lot of stuff because my mother had craziness, in her life, and me and my brother got to be part of that and see a lot of that. But I still have respect for my mother, which in turn I think goes to respect to women in general. So again, if you're a woman, it works the same way. If you're a woman, you want a guy that loved his mom, respected his mom, and admired his mom, than as opposed to some guy who says, I hate my mother, or I don't get along with my mother, I don't like my mother. If you're a woman, that you don't want that either. So it goes both ways. But from my experience, the best relationships I had were with women who really had, and even if their father and their mother didn't get along, but the woman is open-minded enough to have understood that the father did the best he could, and that maybe their mother and father got divorced, but still loved their father anyway, and he did what he could do, he did the best he could do, and they still had that kind of an understanding about human nature, that the father didn't have to be there forever, and he didn't have to do certain things, he just did the best he could do. And that'll tie onto you. You'll become that guy, and she'll have that same understanding for you as a man that she did for her dad. Where other women that I dated, they could never forgive their father. My father did this, and he shouldn't have did that, and they could never forgive him, and they could never forgive you either, because the same grudges they hold towards their father 20, 30 years later, they're now on you. And just like they won't forgive their father, they're not going to forgive. Transference, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can bet that the history, I've had relationships where that didn't work out with me, that the history was that, and I knew it was going to be that way once I realized the psychological issues that were involved with it, was that the other relationships after me weren't going to be any better for those guys. That those guys were going to go through the same things that I did until they had enough. You know what I mean? Because there's always a new guy that thinks he got this hot girl that I just got rid of. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Who doesn't know. Hasn't lived it. And then he's probably not even half as understanding as I am, or tolerant, or patient. Or maybe he's more than I was. And maybe he'll put up with more than I did. I don't know. But, it's just that, and I feel I've dated women that had a lot of potential, a lot of beautiful, really, really good-hearted women. They've just been traumatized by experiences in the childhood and stuff like that. that if you really want to get into the deep issue of things, that trauma that happened when they were kids really, really carries into their future relationships. Whether it was incest, child molestation issues I've had. I dated a woman that was molested for 10 years. I've been through different sorts of things where fathers weren't that great to their daughters. And then here I come along, falling in love with this, and trying the best I can to, I'm not your father, I'm me, I love you, I'm not going to hurt you, type of thing. And then it's like, it doesn't matter. They just can't, that transference thing is just, it's too strong. They can't help it. They haven't dealt with those issues yet to be able to separate you from that guy. You become that guy. You become that guy.
I know there's truth in that experience. What's that song?
Anyway, that's a bathroom. That's the apartment on the other
door?
side. Yeah, it's probably the shower.
Anyway,
Anyway,
take a break and maybe get the AC going.
Yeah.
What's up with Freddie?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get these calls. I think you got a lot there, no?
Yeah.